Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Costa Mesa City Council and successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency for Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019. Call the meeting to order, and at this time, I would like to invite Moxie Ann Moore up to the podium, and she will perform the national anthem and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the moment of solemn expression by Father George Akusi of St. John the Divine Episcopal Church. And I will also just real quickly announce that Moxie Ann is opening on Wednesday night, tomorrow night, for our big Independence Day celebration.
Would you all join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Father?
Just to remind ourselves, this evening we come together to lend gravity to the proceedings and to remind our lawmakers and everyone serving in this great city of Costa Mesa of the common aspirations of a peaceful society and prosperity to all members of the community. We meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, and to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility to the past generation and to the future generation, and let us pray. Holy One, known by many names and beyond all names, Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Spirit of community, Spirit of peace and justice, we ask your blessing tonight for us gathered here, and especially to those who have been called to lead the community in which we live, in which we work and play. Help our leaders to not ask first, how do we fix this, but what do we need to learn? How might we need to change? And to whom do we need to listen? Remind our leaders, because we all forget most of the times in these noisy times of politics, that they are not only leaders, but also servants, and that is their responsibility and ours at the same time to serve the common good of all. Remind us that, Lord, no matter where we live, everyone, gay, straight, transgender, black or white, Hispanic or Asian, Muslim, Jew, Hindu, Sikh or atheist, is our neighbor, our sibling, and that we are called to respect and protect the least of those among us, our children, the elderly, the poor, those who are hungry, the homeless, those who are in ill body, mind, and spirit, the strangers and immigrants in our midst, those who live on the margins, those who are alone, and those who are forgotten. We pray, dear Lord, for the agenda set before us tonight. Please give us an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in this great city. Grant us the wisdom and courage to know and do what is right, good, and true. May we speak out when it is time to speak out, and listen patiently and receptively when it is time to listen, being guided by the spirit of community, justice, and love. As servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations, on our efforts here tonight. May we act wisely and well, for we pray in your most blessed name. And we all say, Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Let the record reflect that all council members are present.
Okay. City Attorney, closed session report. Ms. Barlow?
Madam Mayor, there was no reportable action taken in closed session this evening.
Okay. And at this time, I would like to make a motion to advance several items that are on our agenda. Public hearings, items numbers 1 through 3 to now in the meeting. Okay. Motion by Foley, second by Guinness. Okay, and at this time, the reason I'm going to advance those is because we have had a request for a continuance, and we are going to make a motion on continuing these items. And the city manager is going to give a further report on that. Do we need to open this up for public comment for the motion to advance or no?
If anyone has a comment on bringing it forward, they could speak now.
Okay.
Seeing none, I think you can safely move forward.
Okay, call for the question. It never does that. Yeah. No, you hit yes, or no, or whatever you want.
I have to vote. Can you turn my mic on?
Okay. Oh, I see. No, you're not abstaining.
Can you turn my mic on?
I can't, you didn't request it. You have to request.
It's not working. Nothing's working.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Stevens is abstaining from this item, from this vote, due to a conflict of interest with one of the items. So we have, can you read the vote?
Yes, that 1, 2, 3, 4. That motion carries 6-0 with Mayor Pro Tem Stevens abstaining.
Okay, and now at this time, I would move to continue the items that we just advanced to a study session first, and then a date to be determined at a later date. Is there a second? Okay. Motion by Foley, second by Chavez, and if you would like to speak to the item, please request to speak. Mayor Pro Tem Stevens.
Yeah, I just want to say that the only reason I'm abstaining is because on public hearing 2, it's within the restricted area of my office. So if we're taking it together out of an abundance of caution, I'm going to abstain. But I would have supported the prior motion on public hearing 1 and 3 as with this one, but I'm just going to abstain for that reason.
Okay, and welcome, Ms. Farrell Harrison. Welcome to our city council meeting, and welcome to becoming our city manager. Did you want to speak to this item to give a report on why we are going to continue it?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Mayor. And our council. Thank you for having me this evening. Thank you for offering me this incredible opportunity. I'm really excited to be working with all of the staff, all of you, all of the residents and businesses in Costa Mesa to make sure that we're taking the city to its greatest heights. And so I'm super happy to be here, and I just wanted to thank everybody for the warm welcome that I've received over the past couple of days, and all of the organizations, residents, and business owners that have reached out to get to know me better, and I'm hoping that we'll have an excellent relationship going forward. So regarding the public hearings this evening, we do have staff recommendations for you related to the work that we've been doing, and also some additional feedback that we'd like to share with you this evening. So staff is recommending that we postpone the hearings this evening until a later date. We have heard from the community that there are some questions. There's clearly the need for additional community education, additional public outreach. And so what we would recommend is that we do postpone the hearings this evening. We are given the time to assess all of the concerns that have been basically communicated to us and to you regarding the small cell sites and their locations. Bring that information back to you with the themes and the some specificity as to what the community's concerns are, and then put together a plan for a study session where we can really delve into those issues with you, give you some answers to your questions, educate the public a lot better about the regulations, our role as a city, the restrictions that we have, the opportunities that we have, and then be able to vet that here within the context of a study session. And then you could give us subsequent feedback, and then we could bring back the item to you at that time after we've had an opportunity to fully vet it, in addition to what we've been doing, which is pretty significant, but allowing additional opportunity for education, outreach, consultation with some of the experts that we've hired, and engaging with the telecommunications carriers. I'll also mention that we have talked to Verizon and AT&T, and they're in concurrence with this recommendation. And so we bring that forward for your consideration.
Thank you. City Attorney, did you want to add anything?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. We have had some changes in the law that we would really like to address in this process. There was a Supreme Court decision from the state of California that came out in April. Although we always contended that we had the right, and we're in fact invoking that right, to regulate for aesthetics, it does appear that we may have some additional flexibility with respect to other issues, including location. And so this opportunity will give us a chance to really evaluate that, drill down in that case, and take a look at what we can do to assist the community in addressing this issue.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'll open, well, before I do that, I don't see any requests in the queue, and so at this time, I'll open the item up for public comment as to the continuance only, if anyone wishes to speak to that item.
So my neighbor Barbara just left, but she was here tonight to speak about this. We're thrilled that you are postponing it. There's a lot of new facts that are coming out. There's that new case. Thank you for addressing this. I think there's a lot of information that we don't know, and it's almost new science. The gentleman that came forward as the expert, he's talking about research that he did in 1997. The research that is coming out about these cell phone towers is almost daily updates. So we really need to get on top of this, and I really, really appreciate you postponing this, because the residents deserve the right to know. In Pacific Palisades in LA, where these towers are going up, the property values are going down. People are having a hard time selling their homes if they live right near one of these. The public has the right to know. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, good evening. I'll keep my comments brief because I am going to comment later on as well, but I do want to echo what the lady before me said. There are many concerned citizens in this community, and we appreciate the council's willingness to listen and to have that dialogue with us. This is an area that continues to evolve. It's actually very complex, and as it was mentioned, there's recent rulings on this topic, so we appreciate the opportunity to dialogue with City Council on this.
Thank you. And we're going to introduce our new canine here soon. That's why the canine's in the room. It's not for our protection.
Good evening, Mayor Foley, fellow council members. My name is Aaron Snyder with Crown Castle. I did want to seek clarification on something. All the agenda items relative to wireless facilities are being continued tonight?
Correct.
Okay. I did want to ask a couple of questions. First off, I did want to thank the planning staff. They've been very helpful. Crown Castle has about a dozen small cell applications not tied to AT&T and Verizon that are being processed right now, and will be in front of the Planning Commission because they are within the 500 feet from residential zones. I did just want to bring to attention the fact that we are working with a lot of cities, anywhere from Santa Monica to Linwood, Hermosa Beach, Redondo, as close as Santa Ana and Seal Beach, to take this wireless process to more of a public works procedure. These cities, which are very similar in size, residential input and base, have developed purely administrative processes. And so I've just advised the city to maybe contact them to see their processes, their procedures. Again, these things have gone to public works processes with limited zoning applications, things of that nature. I found it interesting to see that these facilities were brought to your attention tonight. I know that there's been some talk about the evolution of 5G. Simply put, I've just implored the staff to go towards something streamlined, because you could see hundreds of applications come during the 5G revolution, and I don't know if you all want to hear those on a continuing monthly basis, considering the fact that shot clocks are at 60 and 90 days. The other thing to think about relative to the case that the city attorney brought up, city of Costa Mesa doesn't currently own its infrastructure. Streetlights are owned by Southern California Edison. Your utility poles are managed by the Joint Pole Association. So under the context of that court decision, there has to be some restriction to the fact that the city doesn't currently own infrastructure. And why I'm bringing that up is Crown Castle does have agreements with both Southern California Edison and the Joint Pole Association. We have mandated designs to use in both of those scenarios. Just something to think about. And lastly, I did want to offer to the council, Crown Castle again has thousands of these small cell facilities to look at in and around Costa Mesa. We'd love for you to come and look at some and hear from the telecommunications industry one-on-one and not through a third party or the staff or something like that, just so you get an understanding of everything. Great. So we're more than welcome to do that, and we appreciate a chance to do so, and I can answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening.
I would just like to say that I'm sure that the telecommunications industry would like this to be a purely administrative procedure and no public hearings or no public involved. But you were all elected by the public to serve the public, and I think that the public would like to be heard on these applications. Thank you.
Next speaker, and we're just taking comments related to the continuance.
Right, so I appreciate the continuance, and I just want to highlight one thing the gentleman said, which was there's going to be hundreds of applications. So I really appreciate the continuance, because we really do need a study session. We need to know more information so that we don't wake up in a couple months and we have hundreds of these all over the city, and then we've lost complete control. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, closed public comment. Council, we have a motion on the floor. We will call for the question on the motion. Why isn't it? Did it work?
Motion carries 6-0 with Mayor Pro Tem Stevens abstaining.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for allowing us to advance that. I would like to, we're supposed to have a presentation right now, right? Even though my report doesn't say that, but we're going to have a presentation, because I don't think our friend here can sit through public comment. So I am excited to introduce this evening a special introduction, and standing before you here is our newest police department service dog, Aaron, and his handler, Officer Candace McMorris. So everyone say hello to Aaron and Officer McMorris. Officer McMorris has been a police officer in our city for 3.5 years and is the department's first woman canine handler. So very exciting. Her new partner, Erin, is a 2-year-old Malinois from the Netherlands. They recently completed the canine handler course and have been handling police calls for service for about 2 months now. From a historical perspective, the police department deployed its first canine team over 30 years ago in 1988. Since that time, there have been a total of 10 canine handlers and 12 police service dogs. These canine teams have been valuable resources to the department and our community. They've assisted in the apprehension of hundreds of wanted suspects, recovered countless amounts of cash, and thousands of pounds of illicit narcotics. Over the past few years, reestablishing the canine unit has been a top priority. The first step was accomplished in December of 2018 with the selection of Officer Nick Demkowski and Patrol Service Dog Bodie. Canine units serve as a force multiplier and add to the overall safety and tactical effectiveness in the field operations. The police service dogs are instrumental in building searches, article searches, and apprehension. Additionally, police service dogs can receive specialized training in narcotics and explosives detection based on the needs of the canine unit. Let's all welcome Aaron to our team. Thank you so much. Aaron is eager to get to work. All right, that's great. Really great to see some of our specialty departments coming back online. Okay, now I'm going to go to public comments. At this time, if you would like to speak to an item that is not on the council agenda, please come to one of the 2 podiums and you will receive 3 minutes to speak. You can fill out a speaker's card at your, if you wish, but it's not required. Good evening.
Good evening, Council. Jay Humphrey, Costa Mesa resident. Last meeting, it was implied that there was not enough data to support removal of powered mobile model airplanes from Fairview Park. There is a huge amount of data on the effects of noise, light, and a variety of other things on birds in general, just not a lot on model airplanes and birds in specifics. However, there is a lot of data, and so much so that the the USDA has specifically noted that they use sound to remove birds from fields so they don't cause damage. In fact, there are manufacturers out there of these devices that are designed to literally create enough noise to drive birds away. At least one manufacturer specifically of sonic broadcast device uses pre-recorded predator vocalizations in its equipment. And pyrotechnics, poppers, and other noise devices are also used and are biologically relevant sounds because they provide the acoustic information generated by a predator without the actual predatory attack. The more they think it's a predator, the better it works. But let's talk about model airplanes and bird interactions. In New York, there's a national wildlife refuge called Shawangunk Grasslands. It is 450 acres, and before it was designated as such, had been used for model airplane flying for about 26 years. That may sound familiar to us to some extent. The model airplane enthusiast requests to be allowed to continue flying, and the U.S. Congressman, one of the U.S. Congressmen specifically added into that, asking for that approval. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service did their due diligence, and here was the outcome of that. Model airplane flying and competitions are not compatible uses and will not be allowed in the refuge. Both have direct and indirect effects on the wildlife being managed at the refuge and the visiting public seeking a wildlife-dependent experience. More importantly, no evidence exists that the activities of modelers has no impact upon the nesting productivity of these grassland birds and wintering raptors. Therefore, it is the determination of the service that this use will materially interfere with and detract from the fulfillment of the National Wildlife Refuge System mission and the purpose of this refuge. This was done in 2002, and as the technology improved and everything, and new studies, in 2017, they reaffirmed that ban, saying that it would be a negative impact on the structure of the birds. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Closed public comment. At this time is the time of the meeting for council member comments. If you wish to speak, please request the queue. Oh, I had called everyone to the podium. If you wish to speak for public comment, I'll reopen public comment. If you wish to speak for public comment, please come up to the podiums. No, we don't call out names. And if you could come to one of the two podiums, you can go to this one, Ms. Perez. And if this is for items not on our agenda tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi again. So my name is Monica Dragisi. I am a businesswoman. I am a businesswoman, a longtime resident of Costa Mesa, and a mother of 2 young kids. I stand before you as a concerned citizen, representing many others who have signed online petitions or emailed or called you on the topic of small cell phone tower deployment, which I understand has been delayed to accommodate a study session with the public. We strongly believe that our existing municipal code is not adequate or sufficient to address this highly rapidly evolving technology. We heard before that from Crown Castle that they expect hundreds of these small cell phone towers to be deployed all over our municipality. Costa Mesa has no long-term plan on how to deal with those. Other communities across California and nationwide have developed specific wireless ordinances that address concerns, all within the constructs of the law. Things like minimum setbacks, noise requirements, RF emission tests, outlining sensitive areas for locations such as schools and residences, compliance with ADA clauses and OSHA regulations. We are not against technology, but we do want it to be deployed safely, responsibly, and thoughtfully. We look forward to engaging with City Council on this topic as part of the process with the study session. And until then, we will continue to be vocal in raising our concerns and issues. This is a very important topic to our community, to our families, and we want to ensure that we have the space to have that dialogue with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Council Mayor Foley, council members, my name is Claudia Perez Figueroa. I'm the senior field representative for Assemblywoman Cari Petrie-Norris. Assemblywoman Petrie-Norris has released the following statement regarding Governor Gavin Newsom's signing of the 2019-20 budget bill. I ran for office because for too long, the representatives for the coastal Orange County weren't bringing home resources to our community. In my first 6 months in office, I have worked to be an effective and responsive advocate for my constituents, and it is with great pride that I can announce significant investments for our Assembly District 74. I'm going to just name a few of them. There's a little bit of a list here. $4.5 million for the Orange County Fire Authority to prevent devastating wildfires. $2.9 million to end veteran homeless in Orange County, partnering with the OC United Way. And for the city of Costa Mesa, $1 million for the city of Costa Mesa's Lion Park to build a children's playground and a community stage. The California budget is a accumulation of months of work. The budget strengthens the state's reserves and enhances state resilience, setting aside $19.4 billion to protect against economic shutdown. The 2019-2020 budget makes meaningful investments in education, climate resilience, and wildfire preparedness, healthcare, and addressing the statewide housing and homeless crisis. As always, Assemblywoman Petrie-Norris looks forward to working with everyone on these exciting upcoming projects. And on behalf of the Assemblywoman as well, I wanted to share a couple of events that are coming up. The first one is happening on July 18th, and right next door in Newport Beach at the Civic Center facility. We will be hosting a nonpartisan event where the community can come and learn from the California Speaker's Office, Anthony Rendon, on being appointed or commissioned into a state office. So this is very exciting because it's the first time happening here in Orange County. And locally here in Costa Mesa, we will be hosting a senior scam stopper event. So we do invite everybody to come here. It's a free scams event for seniors. And of course, we always want to protect our seniors because they are very vulnerable. As always, our office and our staff is ready for any assistance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank the Assemblywoman for us. Yes.
Hi, Becca Wells, resident. So I wanted to thank the council and some of the staff as well for attending the Priceless Pets Pack Walk. We were able to make over $20,000, and so we're really grateful for that. And then also, if you want to continue your 4th of July partying this weekend, on Friday night at the Harp Inn, there will be a fundraiser for Patriotic Service Dog Foundation, who help get PTSD dogs for veterans. And then I also want to thank the council for the delay on the cell phone towers, and just if you could please consider space. The one that's scheduled to go up by my house, which has been now delayed by the planning committee and also the applicant, is 17 feet from livable space. So I can see it from my kitchen, from my living room, from my yard. And they're supposed to cover a small radius, and the entire radius covers my entire property, and only my property. So it's pretty devastating, and I have a rental property as well as it's my own residence. So it not only affects my home, but it also affects my income. So please consider distance.
Thank you. And make sure you come back because those comments are not going to be part of that item agenda. So I want to make sure that those.
I've come to planning.
Okay. And more importantly, did Henry the Hound dog get adopted yet?
Hank.
Hank.
And
Hank.
He was being fought over on Saturday when I left and when we closed up. So I'm not sure Sunday what happened. But we did have, at the Costa Mesa location, we had 7 dogs adopted on Saturday.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so we had 2 directly as a result of the event. And then actually a third one came back, the couple came back Sunday that were at the event. They had to sleep on it. So actually quite a few dogs were adopted. So thank you guys.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, and you already spoke to public. No, you haven't. Okay.
Don't worry. I'm keeping track. Okay, so shout out to Cotty Petrie Norris. When is the last time, if ever, we had an assembly person, this happens to be an assembly woman, who actually did something for our county? I don't know if you were keeping track of what her fabulous representative said, but that comes up to almost $16 million. She's only been up there for 6 months, sorry. That's a lot of work. That is nonstop work, and I hope that the whole county appreciates it. And I happen to know that there's a representative from Harley Ruta's office here tonight, and he's been working just as hard, and he's brought back just as much money. This is 6 months, folks. What did Dana Rohrabacher ever do? I mean, I'm sorry, but never mind. Okay, so enough about politics. Okay, so, and a shout out to the Harp for Friday night, and Mayor Pro Tem Stevens, when you first became a council person, you said you wanted to do 2 things. You wanted to have a 4th of July, well, you had other goals, but of course, the party person here, this stuck in my head. You wanted to have a 4th of July party, and you wanted to open up a homeless shelter. And I know you've worked really hard on these 2 things, so look at you. You got it accomplished, so let's get this party started, and I hope everybody comes tomorrow night. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Yes, I wanted to comment on the 3rd of July. So you wanted a 4th of July party. Well, you're only 1 day away in your accomplishment. But I'm concerned as a resident that next year, but I'd like to see the sponsors not have so much pull and input in the city. I mean, you've got Jennifer Keller's group that was awarded a contract, and she billed millions. Not that she didn't do a good job, but it's just what it looks like. You've got Everett Dory that you just gave a very a great contract too for sober living. You've got One Metro West. It's a project of 1,057 homes that haven't even been built and have caused a lot of controversy. And you're taking money for these projects. It just sort of dulls the 4th of July should be that we fought for independence. And I think we should fight for independence from money-based people. You've got OCEA who donated a lot of money. You've got other agencies and whatnot that donated a lot of money. It just has, sometimes it just doesn't pass the smell test. And I don't want to see the city, you're off on a new start. Let's have a new start and not start by the money thing, the same thing that you didn't like with the other council. I don't like it with this council either. And I wish everybody a happy 4th of July. And I hope that we have, so far on the east side, I want to say it's been quieter. So I'm hoping that we have a quieter 4th of July as well, and not like a war zone. But thank you very much. Have a good time. But really rethink who you're taking money from. I think it really cheapens the whole event. Thank you.
Mr. Tabata.
Good evening, Ralph Tabata, longtime resident. I just wanted to welcome Lori Ann Farrell Harrison, our new city manager. I've heard a lot of good things, and I'm sure she'll do a great job for the city, so welcome. I also want to thank Tammy Letourneau as acting city manager for the past 7-8 months or so, I guess. A lot of happenings in the last 7 or 8 months. Certainly the library opening, the homeless shelter. This budget was more challenging than prior budgets, and she seemed to weather it all very well, and appreciate all her efforts. I think in many times as an acting seems to be more difficult than a permanent, not to discount the permanent position, but acting positions many times can be more challenging, more difficult, and so thank you very much for your efforts. I also want to thank the city attorney. In my mind, it's been night and day between when you came on board versus the prior city attorney, so I really want to thank you for your efforts. You seem to be much more engaged, much more active, and this is what we see, what the public sees, so I'm sure there's a lot goes on 8 to 5 on the weekdays, so thank you very much for your efforts. Also, I appreciate the fact, being a numbers guy, you mentioned you can live within the budget of $1 million for city attorneys, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we will close the public comment. Council members, this is the time for council members to provide comments. If you'd like to speak, just put your name in the queue. We're going to go in the order on the agenda, and we'll start with Councilmember Mansour for 4 minutes.
I just also want to extend a welcome to our new city manager, and also a thanks to Tammy Letourneau for all your hard work. It's appreciated. And just one quick comment: the one lady that spoke about the 4G and 5G and the locations, you mentioned the cities that have certain ordinances. If there are specific cities that you're thinking of that meet whatever you're looking for, please let us know which ones you're talking about so that we can look at those specific ordinances and try to compare ours to them. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Guinness.
It's on automatically. I have several things. At this time of year is when we really need to keep track of what's happening in Sacramento, even more so than other times of the year, as they wrap things up. And 2 bills in particular that I've asked staff to look at and that I've been looking at are SB 330 and SB 102. They have to do with housing, and both of them have the potential to interfere with local control of zoning. So I know the League of Cities is working on that, but I would like to hope that we would work on it as well. Fairview Park, there's a couple things there. The flying field is not located where it's so designated under the Fairview Park Master Plan. And our ordinance actually specifies in the municipal code that takeoffs and landings would occur only where specified in the master plan, but that's not what's happening now. So we need to either change our code, change our master plan, or change where things are occurring. And then further, I noticed that the planes are not quite as noisy. They make more of a whoosh as opposed to that chainsaw noise, many of them. But they also have a very, very, not as loud, but an extremely high-pitched whine that's extremely high frequency, and I'm not sure what effects that has on wildlife, but when we do our extended study that we agreed to last time, we do need to look at that level of sound. This Friday is the first Friday road show at the fairgrounds. We used to have it at the parking lot here, right? It's been moved across the street, so I encourage people to come out to that. It's going to be a busy week, I know, with fireworks and city activities and so forth, but we have another one to put on the calendar, First Friday Roadshow, and we thank particularly Cindy Brenneman for all the work that she's done, but there's others who've been heavily involved as well. And thank Tammy for all her work as acting city manager. She really has really rolled up her sleeves and really stepped into the gap, and we really appreciate that. And welcome Lori Ann to our team here, and I look forward to sitting down with her one-on-one for a meeting in the near future, and I'm looking forward to working together. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Reynolds.
All right. Mr. Humphrey, would you send the information that you read to our Fairview Park administrator and the steering committee, please? I'd be interested in looking into that a little bit more. I want to thank the members of our CERT team and our police and fire explorers. They've been out the past few days passing out flyers, giving information about the fireworks, numbers to call if you hear illegal fireworks, our zero tolerance policy, and thanks, of course, to our police department that I believe has made 14 arrests already as of yesterday, and confiscated, I think, 4,500 pounds, that would be a lot more, of, they'll get there by the end of the season, I'm sure. So thanks to all of those. If you're interested in volunteering, I know the Community Emergency Response Team, the CERT team, is always looking for interested people. I joined them one day, and it was a lot of fun, actually, to pass out those flyers. Want to thank the members, the volunteers for Priceless Pets and our Animal Services Committee for the Pack Walk fundraiser they did this weekend. It was nice to be out there with some council members and their dogs and other staff and their dogs, walking our dogs around Tewinkle Park. And thanks to Assemblywoman Cotty Petrie Norris. Two of the items mentioned in terms of money she's bringing home include $1 million for our local parks at Lions Park, and almost $3 million to end veterans homelessness in Orange County. Those are both items near and dear to, I think, all of our hearts here in Costa Mesa. So really thank her for that work. I know we had our fingers crossed until that budget was signed. I did have a chance in the last few weeks to get out to Airplane Park and look at the trees. We've heard of a number of concerns about the trees at Airplane Park. And based on the information I got, I'm really concerned about the impacts of insects and disease and drought and the effects that has had on our trees. So I'm interested in getting a better understanding of the strict state of our trees in Costa Mesa and what we can do to better protect those. I want to say thanks in advance to all of the police, firefighters, and staff who will be working this weekend, both tomorrow at the event and over the next few days addressing the fireworks issue, really working hard to keep a safe and sane fireworks, or 4th of July in Costa Mesa. And of course, thanks to Ms. Letourneau and all of our staff for the very hard work and many accomplishments in the last 6 months. We know you've all worked very hard. And I know we're capping it off with 3 council meetings in a row, just for good measure. So thank you all, and welcome to Lori Ann. I've been looking forward to this day for a long time. We are now fully staffed, and get ready to roll up your sleeves. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Chavez.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to today's meeting, especially because it's a nice day outside, so I know it's better to be out there than here, but thank you for being here nevertheless. A few quick thank yous. I want to thank once again Tammy Letourneau. Did amazing work with me these past 6 months, and it's been incredible to see what we can do together, despite having the full team. And I want to thank and welcome Lori Ann for being here, because we're now fully a team. We're now everyone's in the right position and where to go full steam ahead for our city here in Costa Mesa. I also want to thank the firefighter and policemen for the past few days and doing a good job in regulating the fireworks, but also for today and tomorrow. As you know, they'll be spending time working and not with their family members, like most of us will, and I want to really appreciate and send sentiments for that regard. We really appreciate you here in Costa Mesa, and we're glad you're on our team. And finally, quick thing, I mentioned last week the amazing activities we have at the new library. Well, same can be said for the senior center. We have a lot of activities for the seniors this summer, so if you're interested at all, please pop by. It's for anyone over the age of 55, and we have a lot of activities for you guys to do over the summer and keep engaged. And with that said, please come tomorrow to our 4th of July party. It'll be great fun. We'll have amazing guests. Our congressman will be here, Harley Ruda, giving an expert of the Declaration of Independence, and a few on the dais will be in a dunk tank for you to show some steam if you want to do that. So please come and have a great holiday, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Mar?
The problem with going 5th is welcome. Thank you. Amazing job Saturday. And then just thank you to everyone who came out to the community coffee that was hosted last Thursday. I plan on doing more of them. If you got somewhere else in District 3 where you recommend that I do a community coffee, please let me know. My plan is to do them fairly regularly throughout the year. And then last but not least, I don't know if anyone has noticed the bright blue bus shelter on Fair, right at Civic Center Park. So thanks to Public Services is doing a rehab project, painting and refurbishing all of the bus stops in town, which every little thing we can do to get people to take active transportation and take the bus and not be in their cars is a great thing. So I think the bright Smurf blue looks really fun and really great. So thank you to Public Services. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Stevens.
Thank you. So first, I've got a whole list of things. Thank you to all the people that engaged with me on the issue of the small cell installations. That was very helpful, and it actually was meaningful because, as you can see, we did a change of course here with the continuance. Priceless Pets was great. That was a fantastic event. I'm very proud of my dog, Louie, who played very well with the other dogs. Lori Ann Farrell Harrison, welcome to the jungle. No, I just teasing. You will love Costa Mesa like we all do, and I really look forward to working with you. You've already impressed me in less than 48 hours. Thank you to we've got Laura Oatman here, and Claudia Perez Figueroa was here earlier from Harley Ruda's office. Laura is and Claudia is from Cotty Petrie Norris's office. And I asked them to come here because I thought we were going to have our hearings on our small cell devices, and I wanted them to hear the public on that. And thank you for showing up. I appreciate that. Few people have said it, but be safe this weekend. Remember the pets. We talked about priceless pets. It's very difficult on the pets, very difficult on the veterans. Spend money in our... We've got like 36 permitted nonprofits that are selling safe and sane fireworks. They rely on that money for their budget for the year. So spend your money there. Have a great time. Follow what the fire chief says in terms of blowing those off. Don't go illegal because you will get busted by the cops. Now, for the main event, come tomorrow, July 3rd. It's going to be so great. Look, we have these many giveaways, but one of them I brought. It's a glow-in-the-dark Frisbee by One Metro West. And, you know, what do we have? This is our run of show. We've got Moxie Ann is going to start. You heard her sing the national anthem in two-part harmony with the canine dog there. And she's going to sing the national anthem. She's going to do a set. Then we're going to have our burrito eating contest. Then we're going to have our Harley Ruda is going to do the Declaration of Independence. Then the Tijuana Dogs take the stage. Then we're going to have our rib eating contest. And during all that, Mayor Foley, Councilmember Chavez, and I are going to get in the dunk tank. So if you want to dunk us, now's the time. For charity, save our youth. And what else? Thank you to Mary Spadoni for mentioning some of our sponsors. all of our sponsors are on our flyers, and they're all very upstanding corporate citizens, and I'm very pleased that they've sponsored, and they deserve our support. And one last thing. So here's a trivia question. See if you know the answer to this. What council member, it's a trick question, what council member has his or her birthday closest to the 4th of July? Who knows the answer? You know the answer? Shout it out. You're half right. Anybody else? Manuel Chavez. You're both right. Manuel Chavez's birthday is tomorrow. Then we have America's birthday, and then we have the mayor's birthday. So come and celebrate it all tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of birthdays in July up here. Okay, well, thank you to everyone. I'm going to thank the council. Nobody thanked the council yet. So I'm going to thank the council because we have accomplished quite a bit in the last 6 months. And we've all, I think, been very flexible and worked really hard with the acting city manager, Tammy Letourneau, and her team. And everyone made adjustments. And we've done a lot. And I'm really proud of the work that we've done. And I know that with our new city manager, Ms. Farrell Harrison, we are going to take it up a notch. And I'm very excited to have her at the helm because I listened to her on KOCI on Sunday. And for somebody who has been the city manager, she wasn't even the city manager yet. You know, she started the next day. She already had a very strong grasp of our local issues. It was like I was talking to somebody who had lived here and had been attending our city council meetings for a long time. So that is very impressive. I continue to be impressed by your ability to consolidate information in a concise and meaningful way and come up with creative ideas and solutions. And I'm just looking forward to working with you to implement our council priorities over this last year and take our city, you know, to the next level because we have a great city. And I'm so glad you decided to join us. I wanted your husband to be here. I got to meet him earlier, but he left already. So tell him that we welcome him as well. So thank you so much. And I had an opportunity to attend the Senior Center luau this week. And I want to thank the city staff and the volunteers who helped to put that luau on. They do such a good job, and all of the residents, it's such a joy. Anybody who wants to go volunteer or go meet the seniors when they have these events, it's really a joy. I want to thank, I'm going to probably get her rank wrong, Lieutenant LaPointe. Okay, and Captain Davis, who served our seniors that day, as well as Brenda Emmerich from our fire department. The seniors really appreciate that. They really get excited, and it's such a fun time for them. Our homeless shelter. I know I've mentioned this a couple times. I am a little bit concerned. I had a meeting on Friday about the ability for residents to call a number and have a response quickly without calling the police department. So I feel like we need to fix that. I'm not sure what the answer is, but Mr. Martin, if you could maybe work with our new city manager and come up with some suggestions, because I do think it takes too long for people to get responded to when they call the shelter number, and so they end up just calling the non-emergency police line. And when you call that line, you know, they do a good job of getting out there right away. I also want to remind everyone about the soy. So Save Our Youth, sorry, look at my notes. Save Our Youth is going to be the group that we are getting dunked for and sacrificing our hair for. And so I would encourage you all to come out. We're raising money for Save Our Youth. And I did the dunk tank one other time for Sonora Elementary on 4th of July. I'm excited to be able to have the last time that our principal from Sonora Elementary will be there to lead us in the parade for Mesa Del Mar. She's retiring, and I will miss her very much, but if you'd like to come out and say goodbye to Mrs. Anderson, she'll be there at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday morning. That's all I have. Okay, moving on to city manager report.
We don't have many items this evening to report back on, but we are looking forward to the study session on the small cell sites. And obviously, I will be there tomorrow for the Independence Day celebration with bells and whistles on. So
excellent.
I'm looking forward to a very happy and safe 4th of July.
Yes, we all forgot to say that. Everyone, happy 4th of July. Ms. Barlow.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a couple of items to report, but first I want to thank you for your kind words. I'm very happy to be up here and having a ball, and yes, I'm doing a lot behind the scenes too. So, and I only wish it was confined to 8 to 5 on Monday through Friday. But no, actually, that's fine. First, I want to remind everybody that yes, the illegal fireworks in the city, you will be cited, you will be prosecuted. We had some questions about that recently, and we actually went back and looked at our records from last year, and many people who were cited ended up paying significant fines. So please leave the illegal fireworks alone. And secondly, I wanted to remind everyone also that we also do not allow marijuana dispensaries in the city of Costa Mesa. Pleased that we've been able to work with the police department and the BCC on shutting down at least 8 of those facilities in the most recent period of time. But for those of you who end up getting caught up in one of those warrant executions, you're going to get stuck in there for quite a while. So I would suggest that you go to legal dispensaries somewhere else. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
And have a happy 4th, everyone.
Okay, we'll move to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be acted upon in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the City Council staff or the public request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent calendar for discussion. Madam Clerk, do we have any items from the council?
Yes, item number 3, the warrant register.
Is that from the council?
Oh, I'm sorry, no, that's from the public.
Okay, so no items from the council?
No.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
Oh, okay.
let me get that for it.
All right. And so items number 3 and 4 have been pulled. Council?
Move the balance.
Here, you need to make a motion.
Oh, I did, and that's why my mic's on. Or to move the balance.
Oh, my mic.
Okay. Well, we'll get this right eventually. Actually, the motion was made by Councilmember Marr, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Stevens. And just as a reminder, the person making the motion needs to push the make the motion. Their mic will go on, and then they say the motion. The person seconding the motion, just wait until they've said the motion and then second it, then your mic goes on. It cuts their mic off. So can you, I
move to approve the balance.
thank you. Okay.
Second.
Okay.
There's a
It's
delay.
fine. Okay. All right. Call for the question.
Motion's carried 7-0.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 3.
Warrant register is pulled by the member of the public.
Okay.
So on page, whatever it is, page 2. So here we go again, Jones Mayor. I know people get tired of me talking about it, but since someone brought up Yellowstone prior, this is some of the best money that you've ever spent, and I applaud Mayor Foley and Mayor Pro Tem Stevens for hiring the best attorney you could possibly find in Orange County. That Full Tilt Boogie spent a month in court and overwhelmingly won the case. Yes, it's been appealed. But every dime that comes up in this warrant that goes to that case, I feel is some of the best money spent in our city. Look what has happened. Our prior council had a majority that thought sober living was a fabulous money-making scheme for our town. They laid out the red carpet. It was a big mistake, and we're going to be paying for it for years. And I'm not against the recovery community. This morning, I was listening to the news about Joe Biden and his son. And I don't think I know any family in our country right now that doesn't have or know someone that is struggling with this. This is an epidemic. I think it has been targeted against an entire generation. And I applaud any money that we can put towards getting a handle on this. So these are regulated, excellent places, but they do not all have to be in Costa Mesa. And I really feel that this is an important issue, and if I get up here and speak about it and it bugs you guys or bugs anybody else, I'm sorry. We have spent millions of dollars on this. Then you go to the ambulance supplies, Narcan, all the things that are going on because of our sober living community that is not regulated in Costa Mesa is a huge expense, and I applaud you for fighting back. And I'm glad they're going to be at the 4th of July celebration. They're helping our city. What more could you want? Thank you.
Thank you. Close public comment. Council?
To approve the item.
Second.
Okay. Call for the question.
I missed the paddles.
Motion carries 7-0.
I really do.
Okay, item number 4.
Item number 4 is establishment of the new classification of Energy and Sustainability Services Manager job description.
Ms. Letourneau?
Would you like a staff report, or would you like me to answer questions? that you
A
have?
brief report.
Sure. Mayor and members of the City Council, and the Council's adopted goals and priorities for 2019. Goal number 3 includes a commitment that the city will take measures to reduce expenditures by implementing energy efficiency and sustainability practices. In order to accomplish this goal, a new position of Energy and Sustainability Services Manager in the Public Services Department was approved by the Council for the fiscal year 19-20 budget on June 18th. In order for this position to be established, we need to have an approved job description and salary range. Overall, the purpose of this position is to create, develop, manage, and administer the city's environmental, conservation, and sustainability programs. A few examples of the responsibilities of this position include evaluation and recommendation of changes to the current energy and water consumption and sustainability practices to ensure maximum efficiency. Creating and developing and managing and administering the city's environmental conservation and sustainability programs, including developing a climate action plan. The annual cost of this position is a little over $200,000 per year, and staff recommends that the council adopt the resolution and the job description. And I'll be happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Ms. Green, can you clear the board? It has a motion up. And then anyone wishing to speak? Okay. Councilmember Mansour.
Thank you. The reason I pulled this, well, a couple reasons. One, for a separate vote, and just want to make a couple brief points. I think this could be done with far less money if we hired a consultant to find ways to save energy instead of a permanent employee. But this salary range of $8,600 to $11,500 per month, or a cost of $200,000 per year, I'm assuming the $200,000 includes benefits and everything.
That's fully loaded, yes.
Right. I have not seen anything that shows in any way how we're going to recoup that in terms of cost. I just don't see that happening. Anyways, I think a couple questions that should be asked is how much will this add to our pension debt? I know it's one employee, but how much will this add to our pension debt that we supposedly are trying to reduce? Under fiscal review, it says the position will save the city funding and utilities and the implementation of other energy-saving measures. That may be true to a degree, but again, the question is how much are we going to save, and will it cost more to employ the person than it's actually going to save? So those are the points I wanted to make. Thank you.
Okay. So did you have any questions for staff, or you just were making a comment? Okay.
So I
Councilmember Marr?
pulled it for a separate vote and wanted to make a few comments, and then that's it.
Okay. Councilmember Marr?
I don't have any questions. I was just going to talk about how excited I am for this position, but I can wait.
Okay, thanks. Councilmember Guinness, do you have any questions?
do.
Okay.
The proposed salary range is $8,600 a month to $11,500 per month. And I was wondering what the basis for that was. Did we contact other cities? Did we just kind of look at a comparable position? You know, basically, how did we pick that amount?
We did look at some similar cities. However, the primary basis was this was a division manager position, so we based it off salary range similar to positions and duties already established within the division manager category in other departments.
And then the implication, a division manager normally would have supervisory responsibilities?
That's correct. It does come with those, but at this point in time, there are no other staff members that would be reporting to this staff member necessarily.
Well, that's why I'm questioning this, because if we are looking at it as a division manager salary as opposed to, say, like a planner's salary or an engineer's salary, even say a senior, I don't even know what a senior planner makes, so it may be comparable, I don't know. But a division manager implies you're going to have a whole section, and if you don't have the supervisory responsibilities, then perchance the salary range should be not as ambitious. And if you do have supervisory responsibilities, is this simply the first step towards a larger expenditure?
At this point in time, the level that's required for this position, we need somebody that's going to be able to come in and hit the ground running and be able to work with all different departments at all levels to accomplish all the things. It's a very robust job description, and we're asking a lot of this position. And we need to have someone with a higher level of authority to work with the other departments to implement the things that we're looking for. So that was why it was established at a division manager position.
Okay, among the activities would be developing a climate action plan. And we do have we have policies related to climate action in our general plan, in our conservation element, in our land use element, and in a couple of our other elements. So would this, I'm trying to figure out what we're going to have. Would it simply consolidate those policies, or we're going to take a few steps further? I'm not quite certain what we're envisioning here. And would it be a general plan element, or what would be the statutory, where would it fit in the statutory regimen?
So I don't know that I have all the qualifications to answer that question because I'm not an energy expert, but I also know that we have not devoted very much time to energy efficiency, developing our own climate action plan. We have not devoted a significant amount of time citywide to addressing these issues. We've done some things, but we are far below where we should be in terms of this issue. And so having this position, we're going to have a dedicated person that can work with all the outside parties. There are tons of programs and grants and things that we can't take advantage of because we don't have anybody to run them. And working with all the departments, with all the facilities that we have, with all of our parks, we need somebody that's responsible for this. So.
And then, so do we have any estimated time frame on the climate action plan?
No, the person that we would bring on would be responsible for that. So we need to, if it's approved, we need to do the recruitment and get this person on board. And we would have to establish a timeline in which it was reasonable for them to accomplish that goal. That would be the next step, is sitting down if you approve this, as we're simultaneously working on a recruitment to work on the initial goals list when this person gets hired.
Because I do share some of the concerns about having an in-house person versus a consultant, because if we do the climate action plan and then we look at saving energy and water, and I know there's always more opportunities, but pretty soon you hit hard demand. I'd say if we save 10% on our energy use, that would more than pay for this person for 1 year. But I don't think then we would be saving, then we would need more savings the next year. So I'm trying to figure out why we're doing it as a permanent position versus a consultant.
Well, first, I don't think this person's going to be able to accomplish everything we want to in a 12-month period. It's going to be an ongoing effort, and I think they'll be focused in different areas based upon grant opportunities, opportunities to work with regional partners. I think we're going to see different things, and it'll be a different focus as we go forward. So I think we're going to see energy efficiencies in one area, and then we could move to water and those things. So this is going to evolve over time, and we need somebody that's going to be committed to the city to implement those programs.
And then finally, you mentioned grants several times, and I actually would love to have the city have a person whose job basically is pursuing grants. I think they would more than pay for themselves. And over time, depending on how things go, say, you know, the climate change area, you know, they've pretty much examined everything there is to examine. I don't know, because it's an evolving science, obviously. But there's less in that area. Then we could revisit this to potentially assign additional duties regarding particularly grant writing.
Well, we have that wonderful category called other duties as assigned. So that encompasses all those other things that everybody gets in their job description.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Stevens.
So this position that we've approved and that we're talking about the job description today, is it something that you see in other cities, or are we being fairly innovative with respect to this position?
There are other cities that have a similar position. Not every city has this, but more and more cities are establishing this position because of the importance.
So it's becoming more
Yes.
common.
Yes.
Okay. So we're not cutting edge and we're not at the back of the bus. We're somewhere in between.
Correct.
Okay, good. And then my only other question is this, and I can't remember whether it's in the job description, but, you know, we have the city and then we have the Mesa Water and the sanitary district. Would you contemplate that this person who fills this position would work on some joint initiatives with the other agencies that touch our residents?
That's what I meant by regional kind of partners and others that we work with. So yes, absolutely.
I think that's good. Thank you.
Okay, we'll open this item up for public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to this item? If so, please come now to one of the two podiums.
Good evening. I didn't pull this, but since it was pulled, FIPAC raised some of the same issues that Councilwoman Guinness raised, consultant versus permanent hire. I know this was approved by the council in the June 18th budget as a permanent hire. In that budget, though, it listed the cost at $150K, so I'm not quite sure where the 150 versus the 200 came from. I think that'd be a good thing to find out. What's that 50K difference? You know, I'm all for sustainability, energy efficiency, recycling. I try and have as small a footprint as I can have on this city or this earth, but I do have a concern, again, with the consultant versus the permanent hire. One thing I would ask is that within 6 months or a year at the most, this person come back with some kind of report to the council. I would think there should be documented savings that are available to the city. I'm a little surprised in the budget. Again, it listed the cost at $150K, but there was no offset for potential cost savings. That surprised me that that was not in the budget, because I would expect there's a lot of low-hanging fruit the way people are talking, where the city can save, whether it's energy costs, water costs, whatever. And I would think this position would be paid for, hopefully relatively quickly, but then again, 3-4 years down the road, you know, is diminishing returns, I would expect. So concern there, that person would still be on board 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, and the savings would probably not be as great. So again, I would request the council have a report, request a report within 12 months. And also I'd like to find out what's that difference between the 150K and the 200K. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, Russell Baldwin, longtime Costa Mesa resident. Along with a lot of what she said about the justifications for having a position that's permanent instead of a consultant, I would add that the risks that you're trying to mitigate are extremely expensive, and also you can't quantify them. So to say you're going to save money on energy, you're going to save money on waste management, you're going to save money on all these, on water, those kinds of things you can actually measure. Other things that have to be done to the city to harden it for the upcoming extremes in weather, heat, storms, those kinds of things, that is immeasurable. The cost savings will more than justify that position. And a long experience with the county employment, I can tell you that consultants, with almost no exception, are more expensive in the long run than somebody who's hired on. So with that, I'll be done.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll close public comment.
Mayor, would you like, I can clarify the cost issue.
Okay, go ahead.
So the $200,000 a year was a total 1 year annual cost. The $150,000 was what we put into the FY 19-20 budget because it's going to take a few months to get somebody on board. So that's the reason for the annual cost ongoing is $200,000 a year.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Council, do we have a motion? Okay, Councilor Marr.
I'll move to approve the item.
Second.
Okay, and Councilor Marr, would you like? Well, okay, Councilor Marr, would you like to speak to the motion?
I would very, very much. Thank you. Okay, so I'm very excited about this position for a couple of reasons. So some of you know I travel internationally and work with other cities on how to make them more efficient and sustainable. And it kills me on that international flight that I'm going so far away to do the things that I wish we were doing in our own city. So number one reason why I'm excited about this. I also want to talk about the latest term that the utilities are throwing around right now as it relates to energy efficiency in California is about persistence of savings. So there were all kinds of utility programs that happened over the last 10 years where they went in and put in a new boiler, tuned up a system, got it working slightly better, and then a year later it was exactly how they'd found it previously, because it has to do with how we continue to maintain savings over time. So this notion that we could just hire a consultant, boom, they could come in a year, everything's going to be done, and we're just going to continue on our merry way as efficient as we possibly could is garbage. And that's been proven over and over and over again, and is why all of the California IOUs, the utilities, are designing their new energy efficiency programs around how you can prove and maintain persistence of savings over time. I also want to talk about how effective change happens in organizations. So some of you know I'm kind of a nerd about this stuff. The way that you see things evolve over time is when you have them inside of the organization and you have a person who is able to go to different departments. Some of this is undefined, quite honestly. I can give you an example of what's happening in Northern California related to PG&E. PG&E is being much more conservative when it comes to turning off the power lines when the wind gets when it's too windy outside and they think there's a fire risk. So what's happening is they're literally turning off entire cities, entire counties, and saying, sorry, you got to deal with a 24 or 36-hour outage. The cities and counties that have energy managers that have been working on energy resilience are ready for that. The ones that do not, that have never talked about energy or sustainability, period, are left completely unprepared for this. And so there are going to be things that happen over the next couple of years related to energy, related to climate, related to sustainability that we need to be prepared for, and we need to have somebody in-house who is able to talk to the right departments, already know the right contact in the right department, and put together a plan for these things that are going to be inevitable. In terms of salary, that is industry average. As someone who works in this industry, that is totally normal for an energy manager to be paid that much. And then last but not least, I do want to say, as you can tell by my enthusiasm around this item, I am looking forward to working on a work plan specifically because I think that, if anything, we have the potential to overwhelm our new hire. And I think we need to be fairly strategic about what we approach and where we think our priorities are. Having recently toured all of the mechanical and electrical rooms in City Hall, I can tell you I have a few ideas about where our priorities should start because we are fairly behind in some maintenance that will automatically very quickly save us energy. energy. But there are going to be some more in-depth things that have to be done that will take 6 months of planning, where we'll have to get the right contractor on board who's able to make the right repair. And so certainly I think we need to do a report in a year so that we're able to see what this person has been able to do. But I would temper expectations that they're going to get hired and immediately go save $700,000 worth of energy costs. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Chavez?
I love that energy you have, Councilmember Mar.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. This is amazing. I always think about the future. I always think about when I'm gone and it's my sister and future kids who aren't even born yet. What will we leave as a city? I want to know we're preparing them for success in the future. I don't think there's a point in making a new library for our future residents if it's too hard to go outside, or if not spending enough money in City Hall to assure them they have great resources. This is critical for our future. It's critical for us to really know what's going to change in our environment and react to it accordingly. I'm very proud to support this measure. I think it's great for a city to do this, and it shows that we're innovative and we're thinking long-term, not just short-term. So this is awesome.
Councilmember Reynolds?
So I was jotting down some notes during the public comment, and I had written down persistence and circled it, effectiveness and circled it, and metrics and circled it. So I think Councilmember Mar addressed some of those. I also work in the efficiency space, and I've worked as an evaluator. So my 10 years of work has been doing the research that shows that the energy savings don't persist over time. As a consultant in the space, I will admit that having someone in-house assigned to maintaining the persistence of energy savings is much more effective than hiring a consultant. Love to get hired, but certainly it's much more effective when not only you have a single person responsible, but when it has the opportunity to really become part of the organization. To address some of Councilmember Guinness's questions, a sustainability plan, for example, I would expect to have very specific goals and actions to, I set goals on energy savings and actions on how we're going to reach those goals, set goals on water savings and actions on how we're going to reach those goals, set goals on waste, what would be, how we're going to reduce waste and reduce cost of generating and removing that waste. There's also indirect impacts that have been estimated related to public health, related to economic growth. So there's a lot of really good opportunity and value to be created by this position, not to mention some of the long-term, mitigating long-term potential impacts that we just don't have a sense of yet. So absolutely this person, and it is written in the job description that performance will be measured based on results, so setting some of those metrics early on. I think there's a lot of opportunities. As someone who frequently turns the lights off on people in the bathroom here at City Hall, sorry, there's a lot of very early and easy wins. I think we need to be taking advantage of both those and setting up for the long-term goals. So I want to thank Councilmember Mar and other residents for really pushing for this position. There's a lot of value to be created here. Thank you.
Excellent. Mayor Pro Tem Stevens.
Well, I am so happy that my colleagues have used my favorite word, persistence, which is my favorite word that pertains to the work that we do here as elected officials and as public servants. And also thank you to Councilmember Mansour for pulling this item, because you give me an opportunity to read my favorite quote about public service. And it's from Calvin Coolidge, and it reads, "Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men and women with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. The slogan, 'Press On,' has solved and always will solve the problems of the human race." I support the motion.
Thank you. Councilmember Guinness.
I have to say I'm torn on this one because I'm one of those people. I was bringing my own shopping bags when the stores looked at you like you were crazy if you walked in with your own shopping bags. And they'd say, "What do we do with these? What do I charge you for them?" Even though they were mine. I've been composting since the 90s. I walk when I can. I I generate very, very little trash. But at the same time, I look at the position and I look at the proposed cost to the city, and although I could think of 20 things I want them to do, also I would like to have us look at community choice aggregates, for example, which I've been talking about for several years now, and a few things like that. But one of the things that I'm really concerned about is city resilience. And we still don't have a hazard mitigation plan. And this would not be something this person would do, because that would be a different sort of expertise even. Hazard mitigation would probably be somebody like under Mr. Pyle's shop there. And we also have things happening in Fairview Park. I would think the sustainability person should really be looking at Fairview Park, and they'd probably be making some different choices than have been made recently, even regarding Fairview Park. In any case, I do think that if we are truly committed to an improved environment for those to come in the future, that we really do need to be looking at not only how do we survive the earthquake, but how do we continue on. For example, South Coast Plaza, we don't want people to be killed, but we also don't want it to be down for 6 months while it's repaired, because that'll be quite a hole in our budget. And those are the kinds of things that we really, really need to be looking at, as well as truly being committed to maintaining the resources in Fairview Park and not dragging our feet on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I am just thrilled. I can't tell you, it's going to be a short evening here tonight, but I am so excited about voting on this. Persistence, it's the word of the night. This is a step in the direction of modernizing our city hall and our community. This is the future. This position will become the norm for every single city within the next 5 years, maybe even sooner. It will become like the planning director, the HR manager, the police chief, and the fire chief. It will become a critical player in our city, because what they're working on needs to be embedded throughout the entirety of the organization. We have to do a better job of preparing for the future and looking forward. And this is a step in the right direction in that regard. Preparing a climate action plan, a zero waste plan, making sure that we are running our city as efficiently as possible, and having a person who can help throughout the entirety of the organization, including the city council and the community, educating the community, working with our community partners and our other agencies to capitalize on those partnerships and bring resources to the table. I'm excited about this position. I think this is the kind of position that we need to move into the future, and it's an investment that will bring a significant return, not just in terms of dollars, but in terms of our giving back to the quality of our community and protecting our earth, basically. So thank you, Councilmember Marr. It's so exciting to hear your passion about this, and I know how much you know about this. And thank you, Councilmember Reynolds, because I know you both worked on providing input to the staff for this, the job description, and it's so great to have you both up here and have your insights and your energy and your intelligence. So really, really appreciate it.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to clarify that the motion is to approve the amended description that was distributed this morning.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Call for the question.
The motion carries 5-2 with Council Members Mansour and Guinness voting no.
Okay. Okay, we have no other items of business, and other than additional council comments. Councilmember Marr.
I do want to recognize Councilmember Gunness's concern about a hazard mitigation plan. I think there's actually a lot around emergency preparedness that is on my list to talk about with the new city manager when we sit down together. There is a lot more that we could and should be doing. Specifically, a hazard mitigation plan allows us to get grant funding from the state in order to enact programs that mitigate risk from flooding and earthquakes and other things. And so that should definitely be on the top of our list, especially given that there's grant funding to fund the hazard mitigation plan out there in the world. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Guinness.
I have to speak because I had these with me, and I just want to wish everybody a safe and happy 4th.
I love it. All right. Okay, meeting adjourned. Happy 4th, everyone.
See you tomorrow.